Hello all, watched episode 2 of She-Hulk, and hopefully this will be a short one. It wasn't a particularly exciting episode. Stuff happened, but nothing particularly exciting. Although in the first 5 minutes there's a couple of man-bad bits, which is always something to look forward to. You know, two men both being incredibly sexist, one referring to women as it. I don't know about you, but oh my god, I hear that all the time. Start off with a news report where they decided to call her She-Hulk. Jen goes to a bar with her friend. Everyone in the bar is chanting She-Hulk. So she transforms upon her friend pushing her to do it. Walks in the bar, everyone's cheering. She has a drink. Dickhead bloke from the last episode says the sexist stuff about women. There's a moment where she says that she hopes She-Hulk doesn't stick because that's derivative. I don't know if that was supposed to be a joke, an inside joke, or a dig. I'm not sure, because she is a derivative character. I don't know, maybe it was a bit meta, I'm not sure. Then we get the bit about superheroes being narcissists, billionaires, and adult orphans. It's such a derogatory line about people who put their lives on the line to save people, especially given that she doesn't want to do that. Like, you're dissing people who actually paid the ultimate sacrifice, and you don't even want to help somebody once. I'm basing that on pretty much the whole of what she said last episode rather than the things she did in the last 2 seconds. Boss turns up, asks her to revert to her Gen form, and basically fires her because her actions in court prejudiced the case. Then you get a montage of various law companies telling her they're not interested because of her situation. Turns out she was assistant DA. I didn't know that, which is it's weirdly in conflict with a lot that's going on in this, because she seems slightly ditzy on occasions, and it's really odd. And there's a bit where she goes to a prison and she's like, she doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, it's a prison she's never been to before because it's super high max and she's not sure of the rules, but it's kind of weird that she's acting in such an unprofessional way for someone who was the assistant DA. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's the comedy. Who knows? So she can't get a job. She goes to a family dinner, and the family dinner pretty much goes like every family dinner goes. People are poking at her. People are kind of making these jokes, making comments, etc., etc. And then her dad takes her aside and asks her how she is and lets her talk and tells her things will work out, you'll be okay. Cut to a scene where she's in a bar, saying she can't afford a drink, and the person who runs the law firm, defending the case she was prosecuting, offered her a job running the superhero part of the business. She's excited, says yes, turns up, and it turns out that they want her to be She-Hulk. She's kind of a little discombobulated by this. She feels like it will be questioned whether she got the job on her own merits or just because of that. Obviously, when she walks through the office, all the men turn and stare, and all the women just carry on with their work until you get to a certain point in the office. Then you get a woman staring. There's quite a nice little bit with a bloke who comes out of his office and you can see there's comic books on his back wall, a couple of Hulk comics and things, and then there's a woman glowering at her, and this bit she's doing the fourth wall break. She gets her office, her legal assistant is there, her friend, and she's told she has to defend Emil Blonsky, who is the Abomination. She initially says, well, there's a conflict of interest, but Emil Blonsky has kind of signed a waiver. She goes to see him, and this is where the comedy prison bit comes, where she does a Hannibal Lecter reference. Startlingly original, obviously. Emil Blonsky's kind of talking like he's himself instead of the Abomination, and talking like he's a completely reformed man. Then you get a scene where she's talking to the Hulk, basically asking his permission, although she's already decided. She's just kind of telling him that she's decided to take the case. But it's done in quite a nice way. This bit actually made me giggle a bit when he asks her what they've decided to call her and she says She-Hulk. I just quite like that little interaction between the two of them. You then zoom out, find out that Bruce is on a spaceship going back to Sakaar. So I'm presuming that's leaning towards World War Hulk or something along those lines. Something about that will pay off at some point, but who knows. Jen rings a boss, takes the case. He tells her to look on the TV, and there's footage of the Abomination fighting in the cage as shown in Shang-Chi. It was okay. There were moments where this episode was good and it showed what could have been, which makes it kind of frustrating, really. The scene where she can't find a job because of She-Hulk, that should have quite a lot of impact because it's ruined her life. but it kind of gets played like a 90s sitcom, and you expect her to sit down with a tub of ice cream at one point. The scene with Emil Blonsky, I think it's quite a nice scene, but it just underwhelms slightly because they never take it where it could go. Emil Blonsky says, "I'm a good guy. I'm a soldier. I was hired to stop Hulk, the monster. He's out there. I'm in here. I was given the super soldier serum. I thought I'd be Captain America. I had no control of my actions." And there's parallels there between him and what's happening to Jen. You could argue she's not in control of her situation completely now, although she constantly says she's in control, which adds a little nuance, but it's completely glossed over. It could be that he's aware of her situation and playing her to try and get sympathy, try and get understanding and empathy, although we saw last episode she hasn't got a lot of empathy. All she does is ends up saying, "Oh, that's a good angle." So there's loads of little bits where there's an idea, and it might well be headcanon on my part, where I look at it and think, oh, that could have gone somewhere really good. Instead, we get trite, bad jokes, if you can call them jokes, and hack writing that never takes advantage of these nice little pearl moments. It just falls short all the time. The misandry is painful and obvious. I wouldn't say much of this is wildly original. I have a feeling numbers will have probably dropped from the last episode. Again, it's not the worst thing I've seen. Will I remember this episode in 2 weeks' time? Probably not, because it's a very much adjoining episode. It's nothing much really happens. It just sets things up. I'll leave it there and just do a quick plug for my comic book, which is available through my website, and the link is in the description below. Thank you for listening. Subscribe if you like. First time I've asked for that one. And peace out.